Hey, Coach. Yeah, just hoping you could tell us just anything about the scrimmage, what your overall thoughts were.
Well, I was really impressed, with the defense. I thought Landon Jackson had as good a day as he's had since he's been here. I thought he was so impressive. I really like our defensive ends. With Stu and Zach and Nico and John and of course Jeff Coat. Those guys, I think we're pretty. I think we're coming along. We're pretty talented there. We're a little short on the inside because Cam Ball's got a high ankle. I was impressed with our linebackers. I really was. With Greer, Crook, and Paul, Manny Powell played a lot better. I was impressed with those guys, the way they, we blitzed quite a little bit, and we had a breakdown a little bit. We got beat in a 2-minute situation at corner for a touchdown late in the scrimmage, and then we got beat another time in the secondary. But other than that, I thought that they tackled well. We had 122 plays, Trey, and situational. We, obviously we went second and played third. Then we went third and played fourth. But for the most part in that scrimmage, the defense got the better of the offense. I thought KJ did well. Receiver wise, Armstrong caught a touchdown pass. Bake caught a long pass when it was one-on-ones. I like Sategna. I think Sategna's coming on. Tight end wise, we've talked about Has. I think Tyrus Washington's playing better. Bax is playing better. We've got to have those guys come on because in our offense, we're going to use them more. We still are moving guys a little bit. Rocket rushed for about 67, 70 yards, something like that. I think he was definitely the leader in that. To get the ball back, 2-minute drill, the offense both times made their first down and killed out the clock. So that situation they won. The rest of them, I don't believe that they did. And we're still trying to find exactly where our 5 offensive linemen need to play. We had problems with run-throughs on Saturday as far as the offensive line goes, and a little bit of communication on different blitz pickups. I thought we played extremely hard. We did not have a guy get hurt, and that was a big deal coming out of that. Cam Little kicked the ball well, missed 1 field goal. And other than that, I think we did a good job there. Fletcher punted the ball extremely well. I think he averaged 47.5 yards a punt. Special teams I felt like pretty good for the first scrimmage. Tackling was pretty good for the first scrimmage. So I don't really know how good we are in the secondary yet because, to be perfectly honest with you, we didn't have a lot of time to throw the football. And that says something about the defensive line. So that's a long answer, Trey, but that's about I believe what you probably needed and wanted to hear.
Some of the run throws you mentioned, is that some of that maybe a tribute to kind of a musical chairs deal on the offensive line, or is it just the defensive line just?
Well, I mean, we probably need to practice it more in Indy. First of all, as an offensive line coach, a lot of times you want to get that double team fit. And, Cody's been having those linebackers out there where they're getting their eyes up on the backer, but the backer backdoored them, and probably hadn't worked on that as much as we need to. Basically, the guard was too wide, so the center's got to go fit the G, and the linebacker's picking him coming backside. So we need to work on that. I thought it was that was probably the only real glaring point, and we had a hard time blocking them defensive ends with our tackles.
The wide receivers somebody's got to have a big season among these guys. They're like 1,000-yard receiver in this group. Are you starting to identify any guys?
I don't think as of right now. Now, I guess we have to understand a little bit in Tyrone Broden is had a little bit of a MCL issue, non-surgical, and he was out there a little bit today, but not necessarily healthy. And of course, we know about Jaden Wilson. So those two guys aren't out there right now. There really hasn't been a wideout that you go, that's the guy yet. Probably the closest thing to that has been Bryce, but we do feel comfortable with who's out there. But you're talking about a guy to catch for 700, 1,000 yards, something like that. I don't know that guy has yet identified himself. I'm not saying that he's not on the team. I just don't know that we know for sure. And Trey, as you well know, a lot of that is speed that you're playing, and it's hard to play fast when you're still trying to concentrate on where am I supposed to be, what's my alignment, what's my route, what's my timing, what am I in the progression, those things like that. I felt like they got a little bit better today, Trey, and I think that's with their install has about ceased at this point in time.
Thanks, Coach.
Notice. Coach, I've got one, and I've got one for Nate Allen. You kind of hit on Isaiah earlier at receiver, but I've noticed the last 2 or 3 practices, what part we get to see, he's really seemed to pick it up. I know you talked a little bit about it. Can you expect just a little bit more on Isaiah out there? I mean, he seems to have the speed and stuff that you need.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing his speed, I guess is what I need to say. He's gotten bigger and he's playing physical. And playing physical doesn't always mean blocking. It means getting off of people and being able to separate yourself physically from the defender. And he's been one of the most impressive guys over the last 3 or 4 practices to me. He's always had the speed and things like that. But I've been really pleased with his progression, and I think he'll be a really good player for us. I really do.
You feel like maybe he saw Wilson out and he saw Broden go out for a while, and he's saying, this is my chance, and you got to run with it when you get the chance, or some of that.
I would imagine that certainly went through his mind. But KJ hit him with a nice pass in 2 minutes today, and so. Anytime you want the ball, and it's been this for a long time, all the receivers want the ball all the time. Well, it's not only that you've got to get open, you got to catch it, but the main thing is the quarterback has to believe in you. I mean, he got to look for you, and I think KJ's starting to have a little more and more belief in Satania getting open.
Hey, Nate wanted me to ask you, the most significant change that Dan Enos and Travis Williams are bringing, contrasting to what was done previously?
Well, we're in a whole different front, on defense. We're very aggressive on defense. So I think that would be the most significant change. The kids are really adapting to T. Will and Woodson and Wilson and of course Deke's back, but they have a really good rapport with the kids. Dan is a totally different style in that it's more of a pro style offense, and to me there's a lot of identification and reads before you snap the ball in a pro style offense. And in a quick, fast pace, a lot of your decision-making comes after the snap of the ball. And so I think that's probably the biggest difference. Now, KJ, and we're going under center some, and KJ's really taken to that. I got to say this, I think Criswell over the last 2 practices is starting to catch on, and he's showing his arm strength and his accuracy. So been really pleased with those 2 guys, but I'd say that's probably the biggest difference in a pro style, which Dan brings to us, and a fast-paced offense.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Mm-hmm.
Tom. Yeah. Hey, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, and it seemed to me like the defense has been winning some drills in what we've seen as well. But quite often it feels like when you start a new set of practices in fall or in spring, the defense might start a little bit ahead. I mean, is there something about that to it as well?
Yeah, I mean, as offensive line coach forever, I think there's some truth in what you're saying. We obviously lost some offensive linemen and some tight ends from last year's team, that would running the ball wise would certainly have some differences in there from that. But yeah, I think if you looked over the period of time, the defense is usually ahead of the offense. However, I've been on teams, the offense is ahead of the defense, and you're just scared to death, because you're going, oh my Lord, what are we going to do? But I will say this, I think there's part of that, Tom, but I believe that our defensive line has really, really improved, and putting another guy out there or having the capabilities of putting another guy out there and the guy being a good football player. I think that's changed the mentality of our defense. And again, I know we've lost some linebackers too, and Drew certainly and Bump and all that, but I've been really pleased with how those linebackers are running and attacking. Now, we're a little bit different now because we've scrimmaged at some point in time twice already, and we will again in the spring scrimmage. So we're finding out a little bit more, I think, about our football team, because I've decided that I'm going to quit worrying about, things that you worry about when you scrimmage, and just go out there and try to make our team better. The game is about blocking and tackling, and we got to figure out who can do that. And you can't do it if you're in a thud all the time. So I understand why everybody does. I understood why I did. Had a veteran team. But it's hard for somebody to get from second team to first team if you're not letting them play the game. So anyway, it's been a lot of fun this spring so far, and it's gone fast, with us having, I believe, 6 practices left now.
You mentioned Rockets rushing. Did anybody else stand out, and how's the run game in general?
I don't think the run game was good. A lot of 0 yardage gains, a lot of negative yardage gains. Now you're looking at 1s, 2s, and 3s, and things of that nature. AJ had a nice run and a get the ball back. But I think those two, Rashad wasn't one of his better days. Didn't have a lot of area to run. But AJ made a few plays, and Rocket, certainly, made guys miss, ran over a few guys and made some yards. But the run game, if we were playing a game, it would have been not non-successful for the day.
And it looked like Kudus was out there at tackle today, just continuing just to try different guys at different spots.
Yeah, we're just trying to make sure that, we tried Braun a little bit out there at tackle in the scrimmage. He obviously played guard, but then there was a point in time when we put him out there at tackle. And we're just trying to make sure that we have the best possible players out there, not only for the ones, but for whom might be that backup, when if we're needed because of injury or something of that nature. So obviously we recruited Kudus to play tackle, and he hadn't got out there. He did a fine job at center some in the scrimmage. So I think we're pretty solid that we think he could be that backup center, but we want to try to give him an opportunity to win the tackle position as well. So we're going to do that this week.
Okay. And since we won't talk to you again before you scrimmage again, what does next Saturday's look like? Similar play count, more tackling, less, or what do you know?
Spring game.
Oh, that
The
would be
spring scrimmage.
you would
Sorry,
have
you cut out, Tom. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, you would have one more scrimmage then before.
No,
Yeah.
our
No?
next scrimmage will be the spring. We're going to scrimmage at the spring scrimmage. So it won't be a game setting. It's going to be a scrimmage. I mean,
Okay. So this coming Saturday won't be as physical, won't be quite as much live tackling then.
no, it'll be like we did today. It'll be a thud deal. But then the spring scrimmage is going to be exactly as we always scrimmage, except instead of those segments of 1s, 2s, 3s being 12 to 15, we're going to cut that down to 9 to 12, depending on, the situation, if there's an opportunity to score or what have you. We've got a 2-hour segment in there for television and things of that nature. And we feel like if we can cut it down 9 to 12, and they had 122, so I'd cut it down, 6 threes, it'll cut it down about 104 snaps or something like that in the scrimmage.
Trey, wrap us up.
Yeah, Coach, this is the first year you guys have been really able to kind of experiment like you are on the offensive line, because you had so many
Yeah.
starters back, and you look out there and it's all guys you recruited aside from your incumbents, Latham and Limmer. You enjoying kind of mixing it up there
I
and
am.
figuring
Yes.
out how things go?
Yes. And I'll never forget, Trey, I was at Georgia and I had Andrew Thomas at left tackle. And then I figured out, well, I think he's one of our top 5. And he was behind Isaiah Wynn, who was a first rounder. And I go, well, I'm going to move him in here at left guard. Well, he started at left guard, and this is all in preseason camp. And I go, you know what? I need a right tackle more than I need a left guard right now. And I moved him to right tackle 2 weeks before the first game. I remember Kirby said, Pittman, it better work, man. And of course, he went out there and we went to the national championship game, and he was a 4th pick in the draft. Those things are fun to find out about your kids. And I really believe we'll find out that Kudus can play tackle. I believe that we will. And right now we got exploited a little bit on the edge during the scrimmage. And so we need a little help out there, or we need to get better and things of that nature. So yes, I'm having a blast doing it. And I have no reason to believe that we won't have a really good offensive line again. And we just got to make sure we got the right 5 out there at the right positions. And I am having fun doing it. Yes.
Thanks, Coach.
Last one, Scott.
Yeah, Sam, you mentioned Landon Jackson earlier. How is he different or better than maybe when the season ended, and what led to his big day Saturday?
I think if you look back, Landon didn't, he had come off ACL. He was tall and thin. I mean, he was skinny. And he was playing about 3/4 speed. And he got a little bit better as the year went on. Now he's bigger, confident, long. I mean, he's a problem now, and a good problem. He's on our team, but he's a problem if you're an offensive lineman. And I mean, it's just his speed and his size right now that, I mean, he's been hard to block.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Sorry I made you wait just a little bit.